Welcome to Easy Learning zed-Mathematics. The future is bright. In this video, I'm going to go through integrated science for grade 9 external 2025. So I'm going to answer all the questions starting from section A, question 1, up to the last question in section B, which is question 10. Okay, so what I want you to do is watch this video up to the end as I'm going to answer all the questions. In this video, I'm going to be giving you the reasons why the answer that is correct, and the reason why the options that are wrong. So this is more than revision. This is almost like covering the entire syllabus for grade 9 or for junior secondary school. So watch this video up to the end. Now I want you to do something for me. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, I encourage you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you find this video helpful as you watch, I encourage you to like my video so that you can give me a bit of morale to do more papers. Remember, we have made a decision to revise with you extensively so that we can maximize the chance of passing grade 9 exams by you students. So make sure all these things that are taking place is just to make sure that we make a positive impact in your life. So with that being said, let's go to section A and start answering questions. We come to section A. Before we start answering questions, I want to share with you one instruction that has changed, and that instruction is you recording your answer in the question paper. So as we go through the questions, as we answering the questions, I'll be demonstrating how you'll be recording your answers in the question paper. So as you can see, there are some boxes on the right side here. Every question has a box, so that's where you write your answers. You record the letter of your the letter that contains the answer of your choice. So I'll be showing you how to do it. With that being said, let's go and answer the questions. Which of the two human reproductive organs are responsible for the storage of the reproductive cells? Which of the two human reproductive organs are responsible for storage of the reproductive cells? Okay, so we have got A, male and female. So we have male and female. So what are reproductive cells in male? So reproductive cells in male is sperms. Okay, that is sperms. Okay, then reproductive cells in female, that is ova, or sometimes they are called eggs, and also sometimes they are also referred to as ovaries. Ovum. This here it's UM. It's ovum, like that. Okay, so ovum is a synonym word for eggs or ova. Okay, so let's start with the option A, which has A, male epididymis, female ovary. B, sperm for male, sperm duct for male, uterus for female. C, testes for male, ovary for female. D, urethra for male and cervix for female. Now let me explain these answers first before we go to the correct answer. When you talk about D, urethra, urethra is where the sperms passes for them to be ejaculated out. Okay, so they are the sperms, after they are manufactured, they'll pass through urethra when they are coming out. Okay, so the urethra, we can say urethra is in the penis. Okay, cervix, this is a part that prevents miscarriage. So when an egg gets fertilized in the fallopian tube, which is also known as the oviduct, what will happen to the cervix is that it will close once the egg has gotten implanted in the uterus. So it closes the uterus to prevent miscarriage. That is the function of cervix. When you talk about tests, tests they make sperms. Tests they make sperms. That is option C. We are done with option D. We have talked about urethra and cervix. The duty of tests in C is to make sperms. Ovary, they store eggs. So because when you see there are tests which produce sperms, that's why the answer is not correct. B, we have got sperm duct and uterus. Sperm duct is just a passage of sperms from epididymis to urethra. They will pass through the sperm duct. Okay, then uterus. This is where the fertilized egg get implanted. This is where the entire gestation of human beings takes place. The development of the child will spend its gestation period in the uterus. So the uterus is where the egg get a fertilized egg get implanted, and it develops from there. Now when it comes to A, which is epididymis and ovary, epididymis, the duty of epididymis is to store sperms until they get matured. Okay, and ovary also store ova in female. So the correct answer is A. So I'm going to record my answer here, A. Okay, so if you have got questions, you can ask in the comment section, but basically that's how you go about that one. We come to question 2. Which of the following is the normal number of days of gestation period in human beings from fertilization to birth? Which of the following is the normal number of days of gestation period in human beings from fertilization to birth? A, 9, B, 40, C, 90, D, 280. So the normal number of days in human beings gestation is 280, which is D. Okay, so what would be the question for A to be the correct answer? So A could have been a correct answer if they asked for months. Then the gestation period of a human being takes about 9 months. B would have been the closest answer to the actual answer if the question was the number of weeks. Okay, number of weeks human gestation period takes, which is 36 weeks. Okay, so I can't relate with the 90. I can't relate with 90. Okay, so basically that is what I can talk about. Okay, so the correct answer is D on there. We come to question 3, which is which of the following is a symptom of kwashiorkor? Which of the following is the symptom of kwashiorkor? So let's look at A. A, bleeding from the mucous membrane. B, loose skin folds hanging over buttocks. C, skeletal deformity in legs. D, swollen ankles, feet, and hands. Okay, so here the correct answer will be, let's go through first the options before you choose the correct answer. Bleeding from the mucous membrane, and this one is a symptom of scurvy. Okay, where we have bleeding gums. Okay, then we have got loose skin folds hanging over buttocks. This one is the symptom of marasmus. We have got skeletal deformity in legs, and this is a symptom of leakage. Okay, leakage. Okay, so leakage is mostly referred to in Bemba as amangobe or matebe. This is the common word they use in Lusaka. I don't know if it's a Nyanja word when you say adina matebe, something like that. That is leakage. Okay, then when we come to swollen ankles, feet, and hands, this is a symptom, or these are symptoms of kwashiorkor. Okay, these are symptoms of Ashoka. So the correct answer is D as well. Yeah, the correct answer is D. Okay. So please, I'll be taking time also to talk about other options that are wrong so that we fully understand, okay, where it's possible. Which of the following is not the best way of preventing pollution of the environment with the plastic carrier bags? Which of the following is not the best way of preventing pollution of the environment with plastic carrier bags? Okay, so the best way, so we are looking for a least way of preventing pollution of the environment with plastic carrier bags. Okay, let's start with A, burying the plastic bag in the ground. B, reducing the use of plastic carrier bags. C, recycling plastic carrier bags into building materials. D, reusing the plastic bag. So the best way to prevent pollution of an environment using plastics or plastic bags or plastic carrier bags, this one is words, the three words we have: reduce, recycle, reuse. These three words, they'll help us to to deal with the pollution of environment with plastic bags. This is the best way. So you reduce the use of plastic bags. That means you minimize the use of plastic bags. Recycle, you make other things from those plastic bags you have used. Instead of throwing away, you keep them in use by making other things. For instance, you can recycle the plastic carrier bags into building materials. Okay, then you use the plastic bags. So we can use them just as plastic bags. We buy a plastic bag, the one we have carried today, we carry it tomorrow, or we can use them for other purpose. Okay, we use them for other purpose. This way we can it's the best way of preventing pollution of the environment with the plastic bags. So the least way of preventing pollution of the plastic carrier bags or the pollution of the environment with plastic carrier bags is burying the plastic bags in the ground. Now, plastic bags are known to be non-degradable materials, so that means they will exist for a longer period of time. So burying them is not the best option. Okay, so among the four options given, burying the plastic bags is the least solution. It's the least way of preventing pollution of the environment. So the correct answer is A. Okay, let's go to question 5. Okay, so question 5 is as follows: which of the following labeled parts is used in the process of photosynthesis? So before we give the correct answer to this question, first of all, let's identify the parts that are involved in photosynthesis. Okay, we have got one that is cell, so we call that one as cell wall. Okay, this is W, cell wall. Then two that is chloroplast. Three that is nucleus. 4 that is vacuum. Okay, then we can also go ahead and identify other parts. Remember, the cell, the plant cell has got 6 parts, so we can go to the other one, which is cytoplasm. Okay, then we have this part, the inner lining of the cell, that is cell membrane. Okay, cell membrane. So let's talk about let's go back to the question, which is which of the following labeled part is used in the process of photosynthesis? Okay, so photosynthesis to take place, there should be carbon dioxide, water, sunlight, chlorophyll for photosynthesis to take place. So photosynthesis will need carbon dioxide, water, sunlight, and chlorophyll. So which part of the plant is related to those things I've mentioned? So when you look at water, there's no part that we can say is related to anything dealing with water. Same as carbon dioxide, there is no part that it can relate with carbon dioxide. But when you talk about chlorophyll and sunlight, there is a part that contains chlorophyll, which is chloroplast. So chloroplast contains chlorophyll, which is responsible for trapping sunlight for photosynthesis to take place. Therefore, when we go to the question which is saying, which of the following labeled part is used in the process of photosynthesis? That is chloroplast, which is B. So I'm going to indicate my answer B here. Okay, that's how you indicate the answer. It's like that. Okay, so the cell, the function of cell is to give the shape and also protect the inner parts of the cell. Okay, to give shape to the plant cell and also to protect the inner part of the cell. However, you should understand that the cell is fully permeable. That means it allows anything to go into the plant cell and also allow everything to leave the plant cell. We have talked about chloroplast. Now we can talk about the nucleus, because on chloroplast we have said it traps sunlight. It contains chlorophyll. That's a function of chloroplast. When you come to nucleus, nucleus is a part that controls the activities of the cell. It controls the activities of the cell. Now, I'm saying this because I presume that you are with a book so that you can also revise through these points. We remind each other of the functions. So it's not about getting the correct answer, but also reminding ourselves about certain variable points on that topic. Okay, so that is the point. Nucleus controls the activities of the cell. And when it comes to vacuole, vacuole contains the cell sap, and it contains the cell sap, which is the food for the plants, and it also contains it also supports the turgidness of the plant. If this vacuole is full of cell sap, that means the plant will be strong. It will be turgid. When I say it be turgid, I mean it will be firm. Okay, it will be firm. It will be strong. Okay. When you come to cytoplasm, cytoplasm is the site of cell activities. That's where cell activities takes place. So we're talking about photosynthesis, and we are saying chloroplast is found in the cytoplasm. That's where photosynthesis takes place. Okay. Then we come to cell membrane. Cell membrane, the function of cell membrane is to it is selective permeable. It selects what goes in the cell and what goes out of the cell. It is selective permeable. That means when the cell allows everything to go in, the cell membrane will select what goes in and what goes out. So that is the function of the cell membrane. Okay, let's come to question 6, which is as follows. Okay, which of the following is an example of organic source of plant nutrients? Which of the following is an organic source of plant nutrients? Okay, so what we need to understand is this. Let me tell you what organic source of plant nutrient is. Organic source of plant nutrient, this is what God made organic. Okay, or this is nutrient that comes from what God made, not one made or man made. Okay, so when we talk about inorganic, so the organic is the opposite of inorganic. Organic is the opposite of inorganic. So organic, that is God made or natural substance, but inorganic, this is man made. This is man. So when you talk about which of the following is an example of organic source of plant nutrient, which man does not make. So when you look at ammonium, is made by man. This is inorganic. This is inorganic. Okay, so when you look at D, which is D compound, when you look at B, which has got D compound, this is also man-made. Okay, it's a man-made, so that means it is inorganic. Okay, when you look at C, manure, this is natural. Now let me talk about manure. Manure, this is where you get the remains, or let me say the pieces of animals like cow, okay, pig, chicken, and then you prepare them and use them as manure. Now when you look at these cow dung and other things I've mentioned, like pieces of pigs and other things, chicken, you find that these are natural. They are not man-made. No man-made pieces for the cow. They are naturally made. This is what God designed to happen. So that means these are organic. They are natural. These are God made. Then when you look at urea, these are also inorganic. These are man-made. Okay. So basically, those are the things I can share with you. Now we have identified 3 things to be inorganic. So the one which is organic is the correct answer. So manure is the correct answer, which is C. Okay. So if you have options, if you have got questions, if you have got suggestions, you can ask in the comment section. But basically, this is what I can share with you on question 6. We come to question 7, which is the following diagram represents model of molecules. Which model is that of nitrogen? Which model is that of nitrogen? So let's look at the models that were given. We have got A. We have got oxygen react with 1 atom, 2 atoms of oxygen react with 1 atom of carbon, which will make carbon dioxide. So what is produced when those 3 atoms react? 2 atoms of oxygen plus 1 atom of carbon, they'll make carbon dioxide. Okay, then when you look at 2 atoms of hydrogen react with 1 atom of oxygen, they will make a molecule of water. Okay, so that is water. Okay, then when you come here, 1 atom of carbon react with 4 atoms of hydrogen, they are going to make what is called as methane. Okay, methane. Okay, then when you look at 1 atom of nitrogen react with another atom of nitrogen, they'll form nitrogen gas. Okay, so now the question is, the following diagrams represent models of molecules. Which model is that of nitrogen? So the model of nitrogen is C, which is nitrogen gas. Oh, sorry, what? Not C, sorry, that is D. Sorry, that is D. D, not C. I'm sorry. Should be careful on how you record your answers. So if I recorded C there, my reasoning and everything are correct, but when I am recording the answer, I put the wrong letter of the correct answer. That means my answer will be wrong. So make sure to pay attention in how you record your answer. These mistakes, they usually happen not because someone is down, just because maybe someone didn't pay attention or didn't concentrate when he was writing. So that's how it happens. So please make sure pay attention to the way you record your answer. We come to question 8, which is a learner wants to know the color that are present in black ink. Which of these separation techniques can the learner use? Okay, so let's start with A, which is chromatograph, B, decantation, C, flotation, D, magnetism. Okay, so let's start with D, magnetism. Magnetism, this is where you use non-magnetic material. This is the method used to separate non-magnetic material from magnetic materials. So if you have got iron fillings that are mixed up with millimole. Okay, we have got if you have got iron fillings mixed with millimole. Okay, we can use this method to separate those two things. Okay, on flotation, if we have got water mixed with oil, then we can use flotation. That means the denser substance will settle down, then the lighter substance with less dense substance will float on top. Now when we talk about decantation, this is also the method that is used in waterworks companies. This is where you allow a dirty water to settle down. So the water will be dirty, like you fetch water from the running water in a bucket. The rain pours, then there is running water, then you fetch that. It will be dirty. But when you let the water to settle down, the mud will settle down. Then the clean water will be on top. Then that is decantation. Now when you look at chromatography. Chromatograph is the correct answer. A is the correct answer. This is where you get a filter paper, then you put the ink, then you pour a solvent. The ink will start dissolving, so there will be some rings of colors that will be going. Now here you can have blue, here you can have red, and here you can have yellow, depending on how the color dissolves. So you can have those colors like that. That way you can able to tell the colors that are in black. Okay, so basically the correct answer is A. So to separate colors, you use chromatograph method or chromatograph technique or separation technique. Chromatograph separation technique. That's the one we use to separate color. Okay. Please, if you have got questions, don't hesitate to ask in the comment section, but basically that's how we go about that one. Okay, we come to question 9, which is the diagram shows a stone of mass 60 grams placed in a measuring cylinder containing water. Okay, so we can start the diagram and pay attention to these readings that are here. Okay, we have got initial reading, second reading, and we have also the stone there. So you can tell that the initial reading is 50 centimeter cubic and the final reading is 70 centimeter cubic. Okay, so the question is, what is the density of the stone? The actual question is, what is the density of the stone? Now what we should understand is density is, the formula for density is equal to so density is equal to mass over volume. Okay, so we can come here now. What is the mass? We are told the mass of the stone is 60 grams, so we can write 60 grams here. Okay, now over volume. What is the volume? The volume we are not given. So what we can do to find the volume of the stone, what we do is let's concentrate on the left side of the screen. So volume of the stone, is equal to, okay, so first we write the volume of the stone is equal to the final volume, which is, we can call it volume 2, minus the final volume, that is the volume of water plus the volume of stone, the volume of water plus the volume of the stone, then minus the first volume, which is the volume of water alone before the stone was placed in. In this case, when we come down here, in this case volume 2, that is the second reading. So the second reading is 70 centimeter cubic minus the initial volume, that is the first reading, which is 50 minus 50 centimeter cubic. Okay, so 70 minus 50 centimeter cubic. Now when we find the difference of 70 and 50, we'll find that it is 20. 70 minus 50 will give us 20. So the volume of the stone is 20 centimeter cubic. That means we're going to put 20 centimeter cubic here. Okay, now once we've done that, we're going to say equal to. So what we can do now is first we get rid of the zeros so that we have 6 on top and 2 down. Then we say how many times will 2 go into 6? It will go 3 times. Okay, now when writing the units, we consider the unit that is on top. We write it first. So I've got 3. Then we say 3 grams. Then the unit which is down, which is centimeter cubic, we write it later on. So that means we have got the unit which is grams per centimeter cubic. That is the density of the stone. So the correct answer is B. So I'm going to record my answer here, B. Okay, so make sure that you don't forget to record your answers. So let me check if I recorded. So you continue recording your answers. Now markers will be very busy. Your calculation can be okay and you find the correct answer, unless the marker is so lenient that he may come to your working space and check the answer and then give you a mark. But otherwise they'll be very busy. That means their eyes will be focused on the box. So you make sure you record your answers. Okay, don't take your future in the hands of markers by leaving out the activities that are important, such as recording your answers. Let's go to question 10. But before we answer question 10, this is my request from you guys. If you have watched this video up to this far, that means the video is interesting and you're learning. So what I want you to do is please make sure you click the like button and also the subscribe button so that you join the winning club, which is Easy Learning Z. The future is bright. So if you want your future to be bright, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll go with you through to grade 12. We are also posting grade 12 work, so make sure be with us. And very soon we'll start posting Form 1 and Form 2 activities as we go on. We'll be revising through those tests for Form 1 and also covering some topics for Form 1. So please stick around with us so that we continue revising together. Okay, so we go to question 10, which is the following is a diagram of an experiment to determine the percentage of air. Okay, we have got air, we have got candle, we have got water. Okay, so the actual question down here is which of the following represents the percentage of air remaining in the bell jar when the candle goes off? Okay, so now here we should understand, first of all, for us to get the correct answer here, we should understand that we should know the air that supports burning, the air that supports burning, and the percentage of that air in the atmosphere. So we know that the air that supports burning is oxygen. Okay, is oxygen. So oxygen supports burning. Okay, so any air that does not have oxygen and you light up fire there, that means the fire won't light up because there is no air that supports burning. Hence, there will be no burning which will take place. And oxygen, the percentage of oxygen in air is 21%. Okay, it's 21%. All right. So that's a fact that we should understand. So if the air is put in this jar at the beginning before the candle lights, then the air that is in the jar is 100%. In the jar, there is 100% air. Now, in that 100%, 21% is of oxygen. So you light the candle, start burning, then it uses up oxygen. It uses up oxygen. That means 21% of air in that jar has been used up. So when we go back to the question which is asking us, which of the following represents the percentage of air remaining in the bell jar when the candle goes off? So what we need to do is just a matter of subtracting 100. It's just a matter of us subtracting 21 from 100. Okay, so we say minus. So here we borrow 1 to this 0 because 0 minus 1 it can't. So we borrow 1 to 0. It will be 10 here. So again we borrow here. We remain with 9 here. And then here it becomes 10. Then we say 10 minus 1 will give us 9. 9 minus 2 will give us 7. So 79 is the percentage. Now, when we look at the answers, we can see 79. So when we round off 79 to near tens, we're going to have 80. So the correct answer is A. So we write A. Okay, so please, if you have got questions, you can ask in the comment section, but basically that's the explanation I can give you. Okay, let's go to question 11. Question 11 is as follows. The chamber of the heart that receives oxygenated blood from the lungs is the chamber of the heart that receives oxygenated blood from the lungs is the A, left atrium, B, left ventricle, C, right atrium, D, right ventricle. The correct answer is A, right atrium. Now here I'm just stating the fact. So A, left atrium. Now a left ventricle pumps the blood from the heart to all parts of the body. It is oxygenated blood. That means it's a blood that contains oxygen. C, right atrium. This one receives blood from all parts of the body, which is deoxygenated blood, okay, from the body. So here you see oxygenated blood, oxygenated blood from lungs. Okay, this one comes from lungs. B, left ventricle. Here left ventricle carries oxygenated blood to the all parts of the body. Okay, so this one is to the parts of the body, okay, it sends to parts of the body. Okay, sorry please, I'm using shorthand. So that one goes to the part of the body. Then this one is deoxygenated blood. Okay, deoxygenated blood. And this one is coming from the parts of the body, from the body. Okay. Then right ventricle, which is deoxygenated blood. Okay, deoxygenated blood. Deoxygenated blood. Now this one is going to the lungs. Okay, to the lungs. Okay, this one is going to the lungs. Okay, so that's how the blood circulation moves around the heart. So left atrium from lungs, it's oxygenated blood. Left ventricle from the heart going to the parts of the body. Right atrium, deoxygenated blood from the parts of the body. Right ventricle from the going to the lungs, from the heart to the lungs. So that's how the blood moves in those four chambers. Okay, let's go to question 12, which is the diaphragm is completely dome-shaped during the diaphragm is completely dome-shaped during. So here is the shape, and these lines they present where the ribs are, and then we have this. Okay, so the diaphragm is like this. What they mean by dome shaped is it is like in that shape. So what happens here is that the diaphragm was curved upwards. So why does the diaphragm curve upwards? So this is during when the air is being forced out of our body. Okay, when we exhale, then the diaphragm will go up to make sure that it pushes the air from the lungs outward. So that is during exhalation, which is A. Okay, which is A. Now let me talk about inhalation. Inhalation, what happens is it is like this. So when you inhale the air, you breathe in. That means the diaphragm will flatten. Okay, why? It's increasing the cavity so that a lot of air can go into our body. Okay, that is when there is inhalation, the diaphragm flattens. Okay, the diagram flattens. So if the question was the diaphragm is flattened during dash, then we could have said B, which is inhalation. Okay, inspiration, that is the combination of inhaling and exhaling. Okay, so inhalation and exhalation, the two of those, they make inspiration. Okay, then respiration, this is the entire process of breathing in and out. Okay, the circulatory the respiratory system, this is just a system. Okay, so the correct answer is A, which is exhalation. Please, if you have got questions, if you are confused anyway, you can ask me in the comment section. I'll be glad to respond to you. Let's come to 13. Which of the following sexually transmitted infection can lead to infertility in both male and female? Okay, so which of the following sexually transmitted infection, STIs, can lead to infertility in both males and females? So A, genital warts, B, gonorrhea, C, HIV and AIDS, D, syphilis. So the correct answer is B, gonorrhea. The correct answer is B, gonorrhea. Okay, so there I won't have much to say. I'll just help you to identify the part or the disease that leads to infertility, which is gonorrhea. Okay, we come to D, because other diseases, they have got different, like HIV, syphilis, genital warts. So what I can talk about here now is these 4 diseases are usually mentioned in different questions. So I can, most time they ask which one are viral disease and which one are bacterial disease. So genital warts are caused by a virus. Okay, gonorrhea, that is bacteria. AIDS, that is a virus. Syphilis, that is a bacterial disease. Okay, so that's what I can also share with you there as we revise. Okay, those are viral disease. Viral diseases among these 4 options is HIV and genital warts. Gonorrhea and syphilis are bacterial diseases. Okay, let's go to question 14, which is as follows. The following diagram shows the carbon cycle. The following diagram shows the carbon cycle. Identify the process marked J and K. Identify the process marked J and K. So let's go back to the diagram. Let's study it. So what is happening there is carbon dioxide going into the plants. So the process that gets carbon dioxide from the atmosphere is photosynthesis. So here on J, that is the plants are the process is photosynthesis. On K, we have got factories putting carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. That could be combustion. Okay, combustion. So that is the burning of that is burning. Okay, so if it's factory, that is means the factories are burning substance like coal as well as fuel. Okay, so now let's come to the answers. Remember, we'll go through the question again. Identify the process marked J and K. So the process marked J and K, when we look at the answers, we have got J is respiration. No, so we go on B, where it's B, where it's saying J is photosynthesis and K is combustion. Yes, so the correct answer is B. I'm going to record B here. Okay, so those are the answers. If you have got questions, you can ask in the comment section. Okay, so we go to question 15. Okay, I'm trying to speed up as well so that I beat time. So if I'm too fast, you tell me so that I reduce on the speed. Which of the following list correct show the reason for domesticating the named animals? Which of the following lists correctly show the reasons for domesticating the named animals? So I've got A, we have cattle, we have donkey, and we have sheep. And A, we are saying from cattle we get leather, donkey we use it for transport, and sheep for wool. Okay, those answers are very correct. Now let's check for others. B, plowing, yes, we use cattle to plow, but donkey not for wool. So that means the answer is wrong, B, just because donkey have said wool and sheep for transport. We don't use sheep for transport. When we look at C and D, where we have said, where the options are saying we use cattle for wool and we use cattle for wool, that is not correct. So the correct answer is A. Okay, so just from looking at C when you look at C and D, we're just looking at the first option for cat where they have said who. That makes those answers to be wrong. So I don't even have to waste time. Okay. So basically that's what you can do. So sometimes if you're confused about answers, you just identify those parts that are not matching. Then they will also help you to give the correct answer. Okay. So before we go to question 16, I want to share with you the idea. We have got a WhatsApp group where we're posting also links for the videos that we're making for grade 9s, and we're also posting PDF documents in those WhatsApp group. Like the way I'm solving this, I've solved this science paper. So as I'm reading out to you now, I've solved it, I've gone through the questions, and I've made the PDF answering these questions and giving explanations. Okay, some explanations I'm not giving you here because I'm trying to beat time. I don't want to make this video to be longer than enough that it's supposed to be. So you can join us on that those groups for grade 9, and also we have for grade 12. So grade 9s, you can join us. Okay, so you can see the Zamto line on the page there. You join that group, then we'll share with you those videos. If you start posting unnecessary things, we'll remove you out. So you can join us so that we can share those PDF for free. We come to question 16, which is the diagram shows an experiment said to investigate factors that affect transpiration. Okay, so you can take time and start the diagram. We've got potmeter, we have got electric fan there. Okay, so we can see that the electric fan is blowing, it's on, okay, and spraying wind towards the plant. So the question is, which factor is being investigated in the experiment? A, humidity, B, light, C, temperature, D, wind. Okay, so the correct answer here, when we look at these, the correct answer, what could be the correct answer here? Okay, so the correct answer, when we look at humidity, this is the amount of air, amount of water in the atmosphere, amount of water in the atmosphere. When we look at light, that is darkness and light, the difference that. So if we had a bulb that is light, or we had anything that could show the difference in light, then you can say that is right being investigated. Temperature, if we had a heater, then we could have said temperature is being investigated. But since we have fan which is blowing wind, that means wind is the one that is being investigated. So the answer is G. Okay, so if you have got questions, don't hesitate to ask in the comment section. Now let's go to question 17. Okay, so question 17 is as follows. What color will a LED object appear when it is viewed through a blue filter in a dark room? Okay, so what color will a LED object appear when it is viewed through a blue filter in a dark room? So it's a dark room, and then you see using the blue filter. So the object in the room will appear to be black. It is in the dark room, so it will appear to be black. So the correct answer is A. Okay, blue, if it was not in the dark room somehow. So because when you look into, when you allow light to pass through the blue filter, only blue light will pass. Okay, so red, white, and these others, they are not correct. The correct answer is B. Okay, so which is black. It is in the dark room. It will be black. We come to 18. Question 18 is as follows. The following diagram is of a graph plotted from an experiment on the relationship between current and voltage. Okay, so we can take time and start the diagram. Then the question is, from the graph, calculate the value of the resistance used in the experiment. The value of the resistance is dash. Okay, so what we can do is we should understand the formula that we need to use. Remember, there we asked to say, from the graph, calculate the value of the resistance used in the experiment. Okay, so the value of the resistor is, so for us to find the resistance, we have the formula which is resistance is equal to voltage over current. Okay, then we say equal to, so let's pick one point. it doesn't matter which point you get. Let's get this point where we have got 9 voltage which is 9. We have 9 volts. Then we have current which is 3 amps. Then we say equal to. Then when we divide that, we are going to get 3. So the resistance is 3 ohms. The resistance is 3 ohms. The resistance is 3 ohms, not volts. Okay, so the correct answer is C. We indicate it here. Now, anyone can be saying, sir, but you used 9 and 3. Yes, even when you use 6 and 2, okay, we use those two sets, okay, the second and the second on current. The answer will be the same. So if we have 6 over 2, will give us 3 ohms. Okay, so the correct answer is C. Okay, even if you use the first point where we have 3 and 1, still the answer will be 3 ohms. Okay, we come to question 19. Which of the following energy sources is not renewable? Which of the following sources is not renewable? Okay, let's look at the options. We've got A, biomass, B, fossil fuel, D, hydropower, C, solar energy. Okay, so let's start with the solar energy, the energy that comes from the sun. This one is renewable. Every day we have got fresh sunlight. We can generate energy from there. Okay, we can turn solar energy into electric energy. Hydropower. This energy comes from the running water. We have got I can give the example of the Kariba Dam we have in Livingstone, and we always have electricity because it is always generating. As water passes through, it generates electricity. So that one is renewable as well. Now when we look at fossil fuel, this one takes millions of years for it to be made. So the use of petrol, once we are using petrol, that means the petrol being used up is not being replaced immediately. If anything, if there is a forest that has been like the way tsunami has been attacking and other things that has been happening, then there is a forest that has been attacked and we don't even know about it. For those trees to turn into fossil fuel, it will take about million years for them to turn into fuel, even turn into coal, even them turning into petrol, anything. So that way, this one, fossil fuel, is one of the energy that seems to be non-renewable, not renewable. Okay. However, before we choose B, let's talk about biomass. Biomass is similar to fossil fuel. If you're not careful, you may even go for biomass. However, biomass, this one can be attained within the lifespan of a human being. Okay. In our lifespan, we can renew the biomass. So that means B is the correct answer, is not renewable. Okay, even though it's similar to biomass, but fossil fuel is the one that is not renewable. Okay, let's go to question 20 and the final question in section A. The question is, the following diagram shows radio signal transmission. Okay, so we have got L, M, N, O there. And we have got microphone, radio transmitter, transmission antenna, reception antenna, radio receiver, and we have got something like a speaker at the end there and all there. Okay, now the actual question is, in what form are the signals at L, M, N, and O? In what form are the signals at L, M, N, and O? Okay, so let's take time and look at it. Let's see what is there on L. What is on L? Okay, so we can see that there is a mic there. So what happens there is someone is speaking the voice, and that is audio. So L is audio. Now when we look at other options, we have got B, which is saying electrical, C, electrical, D, radio, and these are wrong. They are not what L is. So the correct answer, we can definitely tell the correct answer just from reading the first set of options. Can tell that the correct answer is A. Okay, if A is not correct, if there is a mishap between the the names of M, N, among the names of M, N, and O. That means even O, A is not correct, then that one will be a free mark. Otherwise, immediately identify that just one letter has got the correct answer there, then you can even indicate that one as a correct answer without bothering to go to other options. But for the sake of revision, let's go through them. So we have M, which is electrical, that's correct. N, that is radio signals, that's correct. O, that is audio, yes. Now the speaker releases the sound, we hear it, that is just become audio. So A is correct, all the letters are correctly named. However, when it comes to B, L is wrongly named and M is wrongly named, N is correctly named, and O is correctly named. Okay, when it comes to C, L is wrongly named and M is also wrongly named. Well, N is also wrongly named, O is well named. Okay, so D, radio, L is wrongly named and M is wrongly named, N is wrongly named, and O is wrongly named. So the correct answer is A. As you can see, all other options have got long item, 1 or 2 or all of them. So the correct answer is A. All right, so basically these are the answers that examiners expected you to. We come to section B. Section B has 60 marks, and the instructions for section B are as follows. Answer all questions in this section. Write all the answers in the spaces provided. Okay, so these are the instructions to this section. So what it means here with these instructions is that we are going to record our answers in the spaces that will be provided. So as you can see on 1A, we have got 1A1. The question is asked and then there is a space where we can write the answers. So that's why we record the answers. This is what we do when we are writing local tests or assessments. When we are writing the end of term test, we are just given the question paper that contains spaces where we record answers. So this is what we are also going to be doing during the final exams. So it's easier to follow because you just do what you did during the mock exam and other tests that was prepared by the school. So that's what you do. So this is what they're asking us to do. We'll be recording answers just like we did in section A. We'll be recording answers in the same question paper. So now let's go to question 1. Question 1 is coming from the topic of human body. And the question is as follows. The following diagrams shows reproductive cells in human beings. Okay, so what we can do is let's just go to the actual questions. But before we go to the actual questions, let's first try to identify these reproductive cells. So what are reproductive cells? These are cells that are involved in making young ones or making babies. Okay, so we have got this cell here, a reproductive cell here. What is the name of this reproductive cell? So this is called sperm. It's a male reproductive cell. It's a male reproductive cell which is called sperm. Okay, so that is sperm. So that is sperm. So E is sperm. Okay, in case okay, that is sperm. Okay, what is E? F, sorry, E is sperm. F, that is F, we call it the name for that one is ovum, or we can still call it, let me just put a comma there, ova, or we can call it egg, or we can also call it ovum. We can call it ovum. So those are the three names for this part named F. The part the egg or the reproductive cell labeled F. It is ova or egg or ovum. These three answers will get you a mark. Okay, so now we can go to the questions. Okay, so here we can look at this. We can see the sperm entering the egg. So definitely we can tell that fertilization is taking place because that's what happens when the egg and the sperm meet. they they get fertilized, or the egg gets fertilized. So we can say what is happening there is fertilization. Okay, that is fertilization. Okay, that is fertilization. That is fertilization taking place there. Okay. Okay. That is fertilization taking place there. Okay. So now, if that is fertilization, then we can go ahead. Now we have identified what is happening there. Now we can go ahead and answer the questions. So question 1A1 is, which of the labeled gamete is that of a male? So we have already identified the gamete that is of a male, which is E. So you can say that is E. E is a sperm. That is E. So we can say the answer is E there. Okay. Then we come to question 1A2. Give reason for your answer. Why did we identify the reproductive cell E as sperm? So what you can say now is we identified that as a sperm because, so we can say it has a tail. So because we saw that it has a tail, we were able to identify that one as a sperm easily because we saw that it has a tail. So since it has a tail, it is easier for us to identify it as a sperm because it has a tail. Okay, a tail helped us to identify the reproductive gamete E as a sperm. Okay, we come to question 1B1, which is state the process taking place at G. So at G here, what is the process taking place? We identified it already as fertilization. So we can say the process is fertilization. Okay, we can identify it as fertilization. Okay. So that is fertilization. Okay. Now we come to question B2. The question is, name the organ in the human body where the process demonstrated in diagram G occurs. Name the organ in the human body where the process demonstrated in diagram G occurs. Okay. So this fertilization takes place. So we talked about it as we have identified the process as fertilization. So we can say fertilization occurs in the oviduct. In the oviduct. Okay, fertilization takes place in the oviduct. Okay, so the other question is, the question I have for you is, what is the other name for oviduct? What is the other name for oviduct? What is the other name for oviduct? Okay, so what is the other name for oviduct? I want you to give me the answer in the comment section. I want you to tell me what is the other name for oviduct. What is the other name for the organ where fertilization takes place? Okay, we come to question C, which is describe gestation period. Describe gestation period. Describe gestation period. So we can say gestation period is the period from fertilization to birth. That is gestation period. Gestation period is the period from fertilization to birth. That is fertilization. Okay, so basically with these answers we have scored 6 marks. Okay, that way you have scored 6 marks. So basically that's how you answer this question. If you have got questions, please you can ask in the comment section. I'll be glad to respond to you. Otherwise, that's how you answer that question. We come to question 2. Question 2 is coming from the topic of the environment. So the questions are as follows. Question 2a, define pollution. What is pollution? Okay, so we can define pollution as follows. We can say pollution is the adding of harmful substance is the adding of harmful substances to the environment. Okay, that is pollution, the adding of harmful substances to the environment. That is pollution. Okay, okay, I hope it is very clear. Okay, pollution is the adding of harmful substances to the environment. That is pollution. Okay, so when you throw dirty to your surrounding, that is pollution. When you put like dirty substances into the air, that is pollution. Okay, you release smoke into the air, that is you're polluting the air. Okay, so anytime you put harmful substances into the environment, it can be water environment, air environment, land environment, you are polluting the environment. Okay, so that's why I've got water pollution, air pollution, and land pollution. Okay, now question 2b is as follows. State 2 causes of land pollution. What causes land pollution? So the first one is garbage. Okay, garbage. This is throwing away of litters. So you can say garbage. Okay, so we can say garbage. Okay, that is one causes of land pollution, throwing away of litters anyhow. Okay, garbage, that means dirty. Okay, in the environment, dirt in the environment will cause throwing away of dirty will cause pollution. Okay, if you throw a lot of dirty in the environment, it will cause land pollution or air pollution. Now we're talking about land pollution, so it is going to cause garbage will cause land pollution. Okay, the other one is mining activities. Mining activities. Okay, mining activities. The other one is mining activities. Okay, then since they want to, let me give you 3 with an extra one, which is the common one, the ones that causes land pollution. Okay, so the most that we see is under that could be construction activities. This is common. Mining is even more scarce in areas where there is no mining activities. They don't see this kind of land pollution, but with construction where people are building, okay, you see a lot of land pollution. You see bags of cement laying around, anything, the leftovers of building materials are just laying around. That means the land is polluted. So you can even include, let me also include the third one, which is construction activities. So you can say construction activities. Okay, construction activities. All right, so that is the third one, the bonus one. I'm for sure they just want, they have asked for 2. Now I've given you 3. You can pick 3. So there, the first one is the most common one, throwing of litters, dirty, anyhow. That one also causes land pollution. Okay, then there is also mining activities. This is common in areas where there is mining activities that are going on. Construction activities, this is also common in areas where construction is taking place. Okay, so those are the 3 causes of land pollution. Okay, we come to question 2C, which is describe 2 effects of land pollution. Okay, now if the land is polluted, what will be the result? What will be the effect of land pollution? So the most common one is disease outbreak. Okay, diseases outbreak. Okay, so let me talk about cholera. Cholera is a disease that is caused by outbreak of land pollution most of the time. Water pollution. Let me talk about water pollution. And water is polluted, sometimes comes from land being polluted. Let's say people defecate anyhow, they pollute the land. Okay, then when flies sit there after the land is polluted, flies can go there and bring out germs. Then they sit on the food that they are about to eat. Then they leave the germs there, and then they get sick. So the outbreak of diseases is one of the effects of land pollution. Okay, even though cholera is waterborne disease, however, because the land is polluted, it also affects or increases the chances of having cholera outbreak, because germs that are sitting on the land that is polluted will go into the water, and then the disease will be transmitted. Okay, the other one is effects. So if we have land polluted, we have an area where there are some dirt that are lying around that are not being collected, and the dirt start getting they load from that place. That means what will be coming out there will be unpleasant smell. There will be unpleasant smell. There will be unpleasant smell that will be coming from that area. So if you have got polluted land, more especially if it is polluted with things that fresh things, then they will start producing a bad smell. Okay, that is the other one. Now, since they asked for 2, I'll give you 3. Okay, the other one, if the land is polluted, it becomes unproductive. Let's talk about excess use of fertilizer, inorganic fertilizer, as the causes of land pollution. So if excess fertilizer is used on a certain land, now what will happen is the land will lose its fertility and it won't be productive. Okay, so that means it also causes the land to be unproductive. So we have unproductive land. Okay, I'm sure for those who are doing from rural areas, they can agree with me. If there is a land where they have used a lot of fertilizer, it won't give you the desired yield that you want. So the land has become unproductive. Okay. D, state one way of preventing land pollution. How can we prevent land pollution? So we talked about garbage. So the best way is we stop dumping garbages anyhow. So the best way is we stop dumping garbages anyhow. Stop dumping garbages anyhow. Okay, so we avoid dumping garbages anyhow. Okay, stop dumping garbage anyhow. We stop dumping garbage anyhow. Okay, so if there is dirty, you make sure you have a designated area where you are supposed to dump the dirty, the garbage. Okay, then the other one is since they want one, let me give you two. The other one is we minimize use of fertilizer. Now, when we talk about fertilizer, let me be specific. We minimize the use of inorganic fertilizer. Inorganic fertilizers. Okay, so we minimize the use of inorganic fertilizers. So at least even if you want to use fertilizer, inorganic fertilizer, we make sure that it is in small quantities so that we do not destroy the land. Okay, so basically that is, those two will help us to prevent land pollution. So we stop dumping garbage anyhow, or just throw dirty wherever we find there is a space. We just see that there is a space where we can dump the garbage, then we dump it there. We stop doing that. We make sure we find an area where we can dump garbages. Okay, garbage. So please make sure if you want to dump anything, you make sure it is at a designated area. Okay, so that we avoid pollution. However, these were the answers that examiners expected you to write in your exams. So if you have got questions, please you can ask in the comment section. I know these are just some of the answers that I've given you. There are so many answers, so you can give me some to confirm whether the answers you have are correct. Okay, I don't want you to change to these answers if you have got already answers to such kind of questions. So write them in the comment section. Let me just approve them. I am the pre-examiner or pre-marker of your exams, so make sure you write your answers in the comment section, and then I'll mark them in advance, so that when you go to write your exams, when you go to write your final exams, it will just be you'll be writing answers that are already marked. So make sure you write your answers in the comment section. We come to question 3, which is coming from the topic of plants and animals. So we come to question 3, which is coming from the topics of plants and animals. So the question is as follows. The following diagram shows a cell. Okay, so that is the cell. Now we are not told whether it's a plant cell or animal cell. So what kind of a cell is this one? That's the first thing we need to identify for us to able to answer the questions. So I just told to say the following diagram shows a cell. What kind of a cell is this one? So this one is, before we go any further, this is a plant cell. This is a plant cell. Okay. Now, if this is a plant cell, so what we can do now is we can go ahead and name the parts of this plant cell. Okay. So let's look at, we have got H, I, J, K, L, M. These parts. So let's start with the H. What is the part H called? What part? What is the name of the part H? The name of the part H is cell. Okay, let me. That is cell. Oh. Okay, that is cell. Now, what is the name of the part I? Okay. I is cytoplasm. I is cytoplasm. That is cytoplasm. Okay. What is the part J? J is chloroplast. J is chloroplast. Okay. That is chloroplast. Okay. That is chloroplast. As you can see, that is the chloroplast. Then what is K? K is vacuum. That is vacuum. Okay. What is M? Okay. So we go first to L, J, K. Okay. L. What is L? L is cell membrane. L is cell membrane. So we can say L is cell membrane. Okay, that is cell membrane. Okay, that is cell membrane. Then what is M? So we can see M, and M, that is nucleus. Okay, that is nucleus. That is nucleus. M is nucleus. Okay, now those are the parts. Those are the parts of a plant cell. So a plant cell has got 6 parts, and those are the parts. Okay, so let's go to the actual questions. However, before we go to the actual questions, we can still talk about something that I feel is also important. Which parts are not found in a plant, in an animal cell? Or which parts are found in an animal cell? So an animal cell has got 3 parts, and those 3 parts are cell membrane. I'm circling those parts that are found in an animal cell too. Then nucleus and the cytoplasm. The rest, the 3 parts which are vacuum, chloroplast, and cell, are not found in an animal cell. Okay, now remember, this is just revision, so I can talk about things that I feel I can touch on this topic. So those are the 3 parts that are found in an animal cell: cell membrane, nucleus, and cytoplasm. Cell, chloroplast, and vacuum are not found in an animal cell. Although some studies have shown that some certain animal cells have got small vacuums, very small, but generally we say in an animal cell there is no vacuum. Okay, let's go to question A of question 3. So question 3A is identify the structures K and M. So K, we already found K to be vacuum. So we just write the word there, vacuum. Okay. Okay. That's the answer, vacuum. Then the question 3A2 is M. Find the part, identify the part M. So we found M to be nucleus. So we write nucleus there. Okay, we write the word nucleus there, just like that. Okay, then we come to question 3B, which is apart from K, which other labeled parts prove that this is a plant cell? Which apart from K, which other two labeled parts prove that this is a plant cell? I didn't go through this paper. I'm just answering it now. You see? So again, it's giving us the same activity we did. Which parts? So those that are not labeled, that are not circled, are parts that are found in that proves that this is a plant cell, because chloroplast and cell are not found in an animal cell. So we can say which part, apart from K, which other two parts, labeled parts, prove that this is a plant cell. So one, we can go K, we have also J, so we can write J here. We can write J there, and the other part is H, which is a cell, so we can also write H here. Okay, so J and H prove that this is a plant cell, because it has got those parts that are not found in animal cell. So J and H also proves that it's a plant cell. Okay, because these three parts, J, H, and K, they are not found in an animal cell. They are only found in a plant cell. Okay, then we come to C. From the diagram, which labeled structure contains chlorophyll? Okay, so the structure that contains chlorophyll is chloroplast, okay, which is J. So which structure is J? So going to put J there. Okay. From the diagram, which labeled structure is a medium for chemical reactions? So a medium, so we are talking about a site for chemical reaction, where chemical reaction takes place. That is I, which is cytoplasm. Okay, that is I, which is cytoplasm. Now, when it comes to right answers here, where we are writing letters, you can also write the names. It's okay. Okay, so what I want you to do is, I want you to write names for each letter I've written here. So on B, you write B, then you say B1, you write the name of the part, not the letter, the name, the actual name that should be there. B2, you write the name of the part labeled H as an answer. So I want you to write these as names. Please make sure you write that in the comment section. Otherwise, this is how you go about this question. If you have got questions, you can ask in the comment section. Basically, these are the answers examiners expected you to write. We come to question 4. Question 4 is coming from the topic of materials and energy. It is coming from the topic of materials and energy, and the questions, the sub-questions of question 4 are as follows. Question 4a, describe the basic structure of an atom. Okay, so the basic structure of an atom, what is an atom made of? What does an atom contain? For any substance to be called an atom, what does it have? Okay, so we can say an atom is made of protons, and neutrons, which are in the nucleus. Which are in the nucleus. And electrons which are in the shells. Which are in the shells. Okay, so an atom is made up of atoms are made up of atoms. So here should be small n. We are saying an atom is made up of protons and neutrons, which are in the nucleus, and they are okay. An atom is made up of protons and neutrons, which are in the nucleus, and electrons, which are in the shells. Okay, so these three are the components of an atom. So it has got protons and neutrons, which are in the nucleus, and electrons, which are in the shells. Okay, so I want you to write the configuration of an atom. Let's take that atom to be oxygen. Draw a electrical configuration of the atom, which is in oxygen. Now I want you also to show me the position of protons and neutrons in the nucleus, where they are located in an electrical configuration of an atom, which is oxygen. So I want you to draw that, screenshot it, send it in the comment section. Let me look at it so that I can add a word. So I want you to do that. Please make sure do that for us. Okay, now we come to question 4b, which is give the symbol for the following atoms. Ion. So the chemical symbol for ion is Fe. The chemical symbol of ion is Fe, where F is the capital letter and E is a small letter, like that. That is the symbol for ion. Copper, that is CQ, where C is a capital letter and U is small letter, like that. That is the symbol for copper. Okay, now I want you to write for me a symbol for hydrogen. What is the chemical symbol for hydrogen? Okay, we come to question 4c, which is in the following modules, determine which molecule the module belongs to. Okay, so we have got HO2. Okay, two atoms of hydrogen react with an atom of oxygen. Two atoms of hydrogen react with one atom of oxygen. What are they going to make? Okay, so before I give you the answer, I want you also to give me this one. Pause the video, give me the answer to this one. Please try. We are practicing. We are failing now and passing during the final exam. So please don't be scared to fail, to give a wrong answer. Write the answer, then check. Okay, write it in the comment section. Write it on the piece of paper. It's okay. And then after I give you the correct answer, then check. Don't peruse in the books. Use your head. See what your head can remember. Okay, so the model here, the question is, in the following modules, determine which molecule the module belongs to. Okay, so HO2 is a symbol for water. That is the module for water. Okay, so that is water. Okay, then we have got the second one, which is OCO. Okay, two atoms of oxygen react with one atom of carbon. What is it going to make? That is carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide. Okay, we come to question 5, which is coming from the topic of materials and energy. We have a question on 5, which is coming from the topic of materials and energy. So the question is as follows. The following diagram shows a experiment on the effect of heat on air. Okay, so we have got the diagram there. So what we need to do is pay attention, study the diagram. Okay, so you can see tight fitting rubber stopper. Then we have got delivery tube. We have got bubbles there, water filled beaker. We have got water bath there, and then we have got N, and we have got heat source, and we have got O there. Okay, so basically what we need to do before we go ahead and answer the questions that follows, let's identify the parts that are labeled N and O. Okay, so this is a setup. So we can look at N, we can see that it's pointing into the area, that the substance that is inside. I hope, sorry, the equipment, the apparatus that is inside, not the substance, but sorry, my drawing are not that good like this. Okay, so what is the name of this one? This apparatus, the one I've drawn in blue. Okay, so that apparatus is called round bottomed let me just read here. I don't know what I was writing there, so we can say that is round bottom flask. Round bottomed flask, that is the name of the apparatus there. That is N is round bottomed flask. Okay, so that is the name for that apparatus. Okay, so now in an exam, if you write the answer flask, it will earn you a mark. Immediately just say flask, it will earn you a mark. However, for knowledge sake, this is called to be specific. Let me say to be specific, the specific name for this apparatus is round bottomed flask. Okay, round bottomed flask. Okay, then we come to the apparatus O. The apparatus O is mostly it is found, it has got 3 legs. That's why it is even called tripod stand. Okay, because it has got 3 legs, then it's called tripod stand. Okay, then those are the answers. N, that is the round bottomed flask, then O, that is tripod stand. Okay, so those are the answers of those 2 apparatus. So what we can do now is we can go ahead and answer question 5A. Let's go and answer question 5A. So question 5A, they're asking us to identify the labeled structures. So those apparatus which you have already done. So those we can even do this. Okay, so we can name those as round bottomed flask, and this one, or we can also name, I'm just copying and paste, no need of me even typing, so I just copy and paste here. Okay, right, so that's the beauty of identifying the parts in advance. So that is round bottomed flask, that is N, and O is tripod stand. Okay, now those are the names. Now let's answer the question. Question 5B. We answer question 5B, which is why was the air in N heated in a hotter bath? Okay, why was it put in a hotter bath? Why was the round bottomed flask not put direct to the source of heat? Why there was water bath used? Okay, so one of the reasons why water bath was used is to avoid the round bottomed flask to break. I'm sure we all have seen round bottomed flask. We know that they are made of glass. So when glass is exposed to heat, and then the heat is intense, and then the change of temperature is rapid at a certain point than on the other parts, instead of it expanding evenly, it will expand at a certain area where heat is hitting, and then it will cause breaking. So why was it put in the hotter bath? It was to make sure that we avoid breaking. So what happens in the water bath when water is heat? First, the heat will move in the water until like water attains even temperature. All areas they have got even temperature. Then it will go into it will start heating the grass. Okay, first the water temperature will increase, then the water now will start moving from the heat will start moving from water into the grass. So that means the temperature will eventually increase in the grass and evenly. Okay, so the correct answer here is to prevent grass from breaking. To prevent grass from breaking. So when we say grass, let me say here, when I say grass, I can say to prevent flask from breaking. Let me say flask, not grass. To prevent flask from breaking. Okay, that's why it was heat in the water bath, to prevent the flask from breaking. Okay, now let's come to C. What happens when the heat is removed and the air in N is allowed to cool slowly? What will happen? Okay, so first of all, the reason why we can see bubbles here, what is happening is when heat is introduced to the round bottomed flask, the air inside the round bottom flask start expanding. Now when it starts expanding, it becomes big. That's why you can see the other air escaping. That's why you can see the bubbles. Okay, now when heat is removed, then the air start contracting. Okay, now remember, part of the air has been removed or has moved out because of expansion. It became big, then it started moving out. Some air started going out. Now after cooling, since the delivery tubing is in the water, that means there will be no air that will come in again. So when it starts contracting, instead of creating vacuum, then it will start sucking water into the beaker. Okay, it will start sucking. As it contracts, it's sucking water into the beaker, then into the flask. Then the flask will be filled with water as well. So what happens here is that the first thing that will happen when you remove fire from the flask, what will happen is bubbles will stop coming out. Bubbles will stop coming out. That will be the first thing that will happen, is bubbles will stop. Because the air is contracting, that means there is no air that is going out to make bubbles. That means bubbles will stop coming out. Okay, then it's only one reason they want. Okay, so the other thing is, now we can go to question D1, which is name the process that describes what happens to the air when it is heated. So when air is heated, what happens is expansion. So what will happen there is expansion. What will happen there is expansion. Okay, that is expansion. Air will start expanding, then will start going out. Then number 2, the other point, which is number 2, give one example of the process stated in D1 in everyday life. Okay, where is expansion happens in our daily life. Okay, so I'm sure we have heard of, we have seen, or we have used placing irons that switches themselves on and off. Okay, they use thermostat. Okay, so there is in thermostat. Okay, so you can say in thermostat. In thermostat. So we can see the use of that in thermostat. Okay, so apart from thermostat, where do we also see these? We can see them in thermometer. When you go to the hospital, we'll see nurses and doctors using thermometers to measure our body temperature. We can also see that, more especially when they are using the traditional thermometers, not digital, but this is where we see where there is mercury. Okay, so we see that in thermostat as well. Okay, so those are the answers that you are supposed to write in these questions. So if you have got questions, you can ask in the comment section. Otherwise, these are the answers that were supposed to be recorded. We come to question 6. Question 6 is as follows. It is coming from the topic of human body, and the question goes like this. The following diagram shows the human respiratory system. The following diagram shows the human respiratory system. Okay, so you can take time and start the diagram. Okay, now as we start the diagram, let's see give names to these parts that are given. So let's say we have got Q. What is Q? Q, that is bronchus. Q is bronchus. Okay, Q is bronchus. Okay, Q is bronchus. Okay, what is R? R, those are ribs. So those are, that one is a rib. So it's just one. So I'm going to call it a rib. Okay. Then what is S? S, that is the air sac. Okay, that is air sac. So what is T? Okay, so the other one, we have said this one is air sac. What is the other name for air sac? I want you to write your answer in the comment section. What do we call, what is the other name for air sac? Okay, then we have T. T, that is diaphragm. So that one is diaphragm. That is diaphragm. T is diaphragm. Then P, what is the name? What is the part? What is the name of the part labeled P? That is lungs. Okay. That is lungs. Okay. So that is lungs. Okay. All right. So those are lungs, or that is a lung. So let me not even call it lungs, because if I put it in plural, that is a lung, one. Okay, so it's one, that is a lung. Okay, one. Okay, so those are the names of the parts. Okay, basically that's what we do with RC Easy Learning Z. We make sure we name the parts before we go to the questions. Okay, so now let's go to the questions and answer the questions. Okay, so the question, which is question 6A, identify the parts labeled P and D. Q. P and Q. So we saw that Q, we named it, that is bronchus. That is bronchus. So you just write the word bronchus. Okay. Then what is the name? Sorry, that is P. Bronchus is supposed to be on Q here. Okay. Then the name P, we said that is lungs. So P, we are calling it lung. Okay, that is lung. Okay, All right, so those are the answers. So P is lungs, Q is bronchus. So in case you write lungs, the answer may be marked correct. Okay, if in case you write lungs, the answer will be still correct, will be acceptable. Okay, let's come to B, which is describe the function of R. Sorry, describe the function of 1 R 2 S. Okay, so let's go back and identify the parts. So R, that is rib, then S, that is air sac. I said give me the other name for air sac. So what is the function of ribs? What do you think is the function of ribs? Please write your answer in the comment section. What is the function of ribs? Why do we have ribs? What are they doing? Okay, all right, so I'm sure you paused the video and wrote your answer in the comment section. Now the correct answer, which is the function of the rib, is to protect inner parts. Okay, to protect the inner parts. So what I mean here is it protects what is inside. Okay, inner parts such as lungs. Okay, we have got lungs, we have got heart, etc. There are many parts that you can mention that are protected by the ribs. Whatever parts that is found in the rib cage, that is protected by ribs. Okay, so that is the answer, to protect the inner parts such as lungs, heart, etc. There are so many. I've just given you examples of those two. So if you write to protect lungs, the answer will be marked correct. To protect the heart, the answer will be marked correct. Okay, so there is a diversity of answers on this question, so you can just pick one. Let me see the kind of answer you had immediately I read out the question. What came into your mind? Write them in the comment section. I'll be glad to respond and also to tick your answers. Okay, remember, I am the examiner, I am the marker before the actual markers, so make sure you write your answers. So what is the function of air sac, which is S? Air sac. What is the function of air sac? Let's go and see. S is air sac. What is the function of air sac? Remember, I asked you to write the other name for air sac. What do we call air sac? The other name for air sac. Okay, so the function of air sac is it is an air exchange site. Okay, it's an air exchange site. Okay, so this is where exchange of air happens, where oxygen from the atmosphere goes into your respiratory system and then reaches the lungs, and then it goes into your body, and then carbon dioxide coming from the body goes out. So this is where exchange of air takes place, that is in the air sac. Okay, let's go to question 6C, which is explain how the structure labeled T causes inhalation of air. Okay, how does the structure labeled T causes inhalation of air? Okay, let's go back and see what is T. Okay, so T is diaphragm. T is diaphragm. So how does diaphragm support inhalation of air? Now let me describe inhalation of air. To inhale air is to breathe in air. So what does the diaphragm do to enhance the breathing in of air? Okay, now you can see that breathing in of air is autopilot. No one controls, let me breathe in air, let me do this. We do it unconsciously. So this activity happens unconscious. No one thinks about breathing in air or breathing out air. Okay, so these, they are just autopilot, they just happen just like that. Okay, so explain how the structure T causes inhalation of air. Okay, so how this happens is when air goes in, the diaphragm flattens. Okay, so let's say the question is, explain how the structure labeled T causes inhalation of air. So we can say it flattens and pulls down, causing air to flow into the lungs. Okay, so what happens is, let me write the answer here. You can say it flattens and pulls down. It pulls down, drawing air into the body. So when I say into the body, into the lungs, okay, it flattens and pulls down, drawing air into the body. So when it flattens down, it's more or less like it creates it increases the cavity. It creates room for a lot of air to go in. So when a lot of air, or when there is a lot of vacuums, air from the atmosphere would want to occupy that area, and then the whole air is pulled from the atmosphere into the body. Okay, that's how the movement of diaphragm helps to take in air. Okay, we come to D. Explain one effect of cigarette smoking on the respiratory system. Okay, so what are the effects of smoking cigarette? Okay, so one, the most biggest one, it causes cancer. Okay, it causes cancer. It causes cancer. It causes cancer. That is one effect. So they said one effect. I'll give you the second one. The effect of smoking, it also brings in the disease called emphysema, but let me not put emphysema because it will be difficult for people to remember. It also causes, what can people remember is what disease? Asthma. Very good. It brings about asthma. So I can say it causes asthma. I'm sure this is the spelling for asthma. It causes asthma. So if you are a smoker, you are likely to suffer from asthma. Okay, so basically these are the answers examiners expected you to write, and if you have got questions, please remember to ask in the comment section. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, I encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and please make sure you share this video to your friends so that you can also revise. Okay, so basically these are the answers that examiners expected you to write. Now, when I say these are the answers the examiners were expecting you to write, I don't mean that those are the only answers. Remember, I'm just picking some of the answers to record here. Otherwise, there are vast answers that you can write. So all you need to do if you want to find out whether the answer you have is correct, write it in the comment section. I'll comment whether the answer is correct or not. What is there is you write the question number so that it's easier for me to trace the question. You write the question number and then you ask what of this answer? What of this answer? On question 7A, what of this answer? Is it correct on question 7A? Then I'll say yes or no and give further guidance. Okay, so make sure you do that. Let's come to question 7, which is coming from the topic of health. Okay, so the question is as follows. The following table shows sexually transmitted infections, STIs: syphilis, HIV or AIDS, what's gonorrhea. Okay, these are the basic diseases that are in your syllabus as junior secondary level. These 4 diseases are mainly talked about in this syllabus of grade 8 to 9. Okay, so the actual questions are: 7A, identify the STI which when left untreated can lead to blindness and sometimes madness. Okay, that leads to blindness and sometimes madness. Remember, in section A we are asked to identify a disease that leads to infertility, which we said is gonorrhea. Now this time they want us to identify the disease that will lead to blindness as well as madness if he left untreated. So the correct answer is syphilis. Okay, syphilis may lead you to madness if he left untreated. So if you have got syphilis, make sure you get treated, otherwise you may become blind or learn mad. So you make sure you get treated. Okay, let's come to B. State the causes of syphilis. What causes syphilis? Okay, so syphilis is caused by, I want just to be generalize. Don't give specific answers and don't get troubled to find the specific answer for the question that you are given. Okay, so syphilis is caused by, on here we just say it is bacteria. Okay, bacteria causes syphilis. Okay, so I don't want you to dwell much in the specific. It's okay if you can give a specific name of a bacteria that causes syphilis, which is Treponema pallidum. If you are able to say that, then it's okay. If you are able to write that, it's okay. But the best for you to get an easy answer, just say bacteria. Then for what? That is viral disease. So it is caused by viruses. Okay, it is caused by viruses or virus. You can just say it is caused by virus, viruses or virus. It should give you the answers. Okay, so if it's caused by different viruses, you say viruses. Okay, but just saying virus, okay, it will give you a correct answer. It will earn you a mark. Okay, now let's come to question C, which is explain how HIV and AIDS is transmitted. Okay, so how many marks for this one? It's only 1 mark. They are just giving you 1 mark. So pick one method and explain it. Pick one method and explaining. So yes, when we say the common one, the ones we know, anytime you hear someone has got HIV AIDS, we attribute to unprotected sex. Okay, so when we hear people have got AIDS, we think of them having unprotected sex. So we are saying having unprotected sex. Unprotected sex. Okay, so having unprotected sex with an infected person. Okay, unprotected, you can say unprotected intercourse or whatever. So having unprotected sex with infected person, with the infected person. Having unprotected sex with an infected person. Let me put with an infected person. So you have sex with unprotected sex with an infected person. That means you are going to have HIV AIDS. You are going to get HIV AIDS. Now, if you are just say having unprotected sex, this one can be unprotected sex with a person who is not infected. You can't get HIV AIDS. But having unprotected sex with a person that is infected, okay, that means I'm going to get HIV virus. Okay, now let's come to another one. They want you one. The other one is using unsterilized sharp instrument. Okay, which using an sterilized sharp instrument which is infected with, which has an infected blood. Okay, so we can say using an sterilized sharp instrument which has infected blood, which has infected blood. Okay, so unsterilized sharp instrument which has infected blood will also lead to you contracting HIV AIDS or transmitting HIV AIDS. So basically, you make sure that the sharp instrument you are using is sterilized and it has no infected blood. Okay, so if you use an sterilized sharp instrument that has no infected blood, again you are safe. Okay, we come to D. Describe one way of preventing STIs. Okay, one way of preventing STIs. Okay, so the best one I recommend to my student is abstinence. Abstinence. Okay, abstinence riche. That's what you used to say when we are at school. Abstinence riche. Okay, so you make sure you don't get involved in sexual activities. That's what we mean by abstinence. So you abstain from sex. This way, it's 100% sure way of not getting HIV AIDS. If you follow this other methods like avoiding using an sterilized instrument, so if you want to cut your nails, you will buy your own laser blade. It's 1 kwacha, 2 kwacha you buy, better than getting infected. Okay, if you want to get blood from someone, make sure that it is screened to make sure that it has no HIV or AIDS. Okay, such things like that. Okay, so I don't know, even nowadays I think also the issue of issues of exchanging clothes in case someone has got sores. I see a lot of girls and boys, they can just exchange. Coming to school, he's wearing something, as they're going back he gets something. I don't know, the chances are very minimal. But I feel if someone has got sores and that there is a blood stain on the trousers and then it goes into your, so if you have a sore as well, that could be, but it's minimal, it's very minimal. So you just maximize the chances of not getting HIV or AIDS virus. The other point is having one sexual partner. Having one sexual partner. Okay, and again here on a partner we should put the word which is one faithful partner. The person that you trust is faithful to you. Okay, it's okay, there is room for disappointment if a girl disappoints you. It's okay, but you have a one faithful partner whom you have sexual intercourse. That one also reduces the risk of getting HIV or AIDS. Okay, but for nowadays, the way we handle things with social media and with other things, with competition, stupid things that we get involved. My friend has got a new phone, you want also to have a new phone. My friend has got a new dress, you want to buy a new dress. Now, here is the fact. You cannot have everything. Boys, girls, you cannot have everything. Never. It will never be. People who are in good marriages with rich husbands, they are brutally beaten, mistreated, treated like animals. They feel not valued. And people are in a poor home, her husband is very caring. So they are not getting everything they want. People, they have money, they can't have peace, they can't have happiness. People without money, they have happiness. Something like that. You can't have everything. Girls, stop having men for talk time, men for lunch, men for supper, something like that. You don't have to. As well as boys, having multiple sexual partners, having multiple girls as your girlfriends doesn't make you a champion. This is too, it's both sides. Let me say this is an issue for both sides. I can't say girls, whatever, no, like other people are saying. No, there are some wonderful girls who cannot even involve in sexual activities before they get married. And there are those faithful girls. And the number is very big. I tell you, of those girls who are very humble and they are very faithful. If anything, even better than boys. The number of boys, there are very few. Girls, there are many. When you look at this activity, it goes with your behavior. So please make sure stay humble and stay with one partner. Sorry, I'm not counseling now. I'm doing science. Okay, sorry. Let's go back to science. E. State the impact of HIV and AIDS on local population. Okay, what is the impact of HIV and AIDS on local population? Okay, so one of it is we have a lot of street kids. Okay, it has caused many children to be street kids. Many children to be street kids. Okay, this one is an impact. Many children have turned to be street kids. There is one point I also tell my learners, let's support our parents. Okay, let's make sure that our parents live longer. One way we can do that is by making sure that we don't give them unnecessary headaches. Okay, heart attacks. Okay, being responsible. Okay, in terms of how you use materials, because you may not know what your parent is going through, the struggles he's having to get all those necessities for you. So if you are careless, I've seen pupils who tear books anyhow, pupils who let the uniform be torn until it's torn and then they go and demand another one from their parents. You don't know. Some of us parents, we go through insults from our bosses just to make sure that we put food on your table and you eat. We cry in secrecy. So please make sure to avoid this in terms of AIDS, to avoid street kids, we take care of ourselves well. Okay, so make sure being a street kid is not a good thing. That's what I'm trying to do. That's what I'm trying to say. Having a parent is a blessing. So make sure you protect your parent's life by being responsible and use things properly. Okay, if you're in boarding, make sure you don't send unnecessary bills to your parents. Okay, sometimes we look for wizards and witches who have killed your parents. Meantime, you are the witch and the wizard. So make sure you be responsible. Being a street kid is it's not a nice thing. Don't look at your uncle who comes and with his small presents to you because your father is around. To be honest with you, he's just trying to make things simple for him to lob some money from your parents. That's why he's being nice with you. Otherwise, when your parents are dead or are gone, even what they they are supposed to get from NAPSA and pension scheme, something like that. It will be taken away from you. They'll use your name. He has children who are less than 18 years. They'll use your name and get the money and then vanish. They treat you. They throw away. Using your father's money, they'll take their children to private schools, good schools, and whilst you will be in your home as a maid, in their home as a maid. So be careful. Treat your parents. Support them so that they live longer. Okay, so the other point is what are the impact of HIV or AIDS? The other one is I've talked about street kids. The other one is poverty or home headed. We have got a lot of home which are headed by children. Okay, so children becomes parents. Okay, so there are homes where children start heading the home. So there are a lot of children headed homes. So it has caused a lot of homes to be it causes lot of homes to be headed by children. Okay, where we see a firstborn child becomes the breadwinner of the family. Okay, because the parents are sick, he can make fritters, go and sell and feed the family, something like that. So it has made that situation because parents are sick, they are not able to work. Okay, so basically those are the answers. We come to question 8. Question 8 is as follows. Question 8 is as follows. The question is coming from the topic of plants and animals. So the question goes as follows. The bar chart shows the population of rhinos for a period of 2000 to 2010 in a particular area. Okay, so the question, now we can take time and start the diagrams before we go to the questions. Okay, we can see that in 2000 the rhinos were 900, approximately 900. In 2002 they were 800. In the year 2004 or 2004 they were just 300. Then in the year 2006 they were 600. In the year 2008 they were about 500. In the year 2010 they were about 300 again. Okay, so now we have studied the diagram. Then we can go to the actual questions, which is question 8b, which is how many rhinos were there in the year 2000? How many rhinos were there in the year 2000? We notice that they were 900. So here we write 900. Okay, so they were 900. Okay, so they were 900. Okay, so they were 900. We come to question 8b, which is by what number did the rhinos reduce between the year 202 and 204? Okay, so when we go to 202, they're asking us at what number they reduced. In 202 they were 800, so we write 800. Okay, then 800 minus, in 204 they were 300, so minus 300, so we say minus 300. So when we find the difference of 300 and 800, we are going to get 500. So that is the answer. So by what number? That is, we can say 500. You can say 500. Okay, so this working I've shown here cannot even be here in the blank spaces. You can even do your calculation somewhere else. Okay, so they're just asking us the number, the difference. By what number did the lioness reduce between the year 202 and 204? So we can say by 500. So we can say by 500. So by 500, that is the number they reduced. 500, the difference of 500. Okay. Now let's come to question C. State two human activities which could have question C. State 2 human activities which could have contributed to the decrease of linos in this area from the year 2000 to the year 2010. Okay, so things that contribute to the reducing of linos. The direct one is poaching. Okay, that is poaching. Killing of animals illegally. Okay, poaching. Okay, killing of animals illegally. Okay, because when you don't kill animals illegally, when you want to buy permit, they will tell you to say this animal you want to poach or to kill is not available. Even if there are few of them, they'll tell you no, the number we have is limited, we are not selling. That way they control the instinction of animals. But if you don't you don't get permission, just go behind the back of Zawa and kill the animals, then that means it will be finished. Okay, so poaching, one of it is poaching. Okay, then the other one could be okay, poaching for owns. Yes, poaching for owns and also poaching for meat. Okay, so I don't want to put poaching for owns and poaching for meat, but these two can also earn you marks. Poaching for owns and poaching for meat. The other one is it could be that because of climate change, it has resulted into unbearable climate conditions. So we can also talk about unbearable climate conditions. Unbearable climate conditions. Okay, so change of climate conditions. Okay, so when the climate conditions becomes unbearable for linos, they may start dying, or they may, anything can happen. So those are two: unbearable climate conditions as well as other factors. Okay, all right, so unbearable climate conditions, poaching, those are the two. So if you write on those two, you can write poaching for owns and poaching for meat, bush meat, then both answers will also get 2 marks. I didn't just want to use poaching. I saw that I wanted also to look at other areas. Okay, so unbearable climate conditions with climate change. Okay, we come to D. Describe the importance of protecting endangered animals such as linos. Okay, so what do we do with the linos? Okay, linos are also a source of income. So if we protect them, the continuity of income is also protected. If people come to see Zambian linos and then we finish them, they won't be coming to check on Zambian linos. Okay, so tourists, it won't attract tourists because they are dead. Okay, now when tourists come in and want to see how linos in Zambia live and how they look like, they'll pay you, and then like that. Now, apart from paying to see, they will have also certain logistics, like where they will sleep, hotels, restaurants, all sort of things. Then income will come into our nation. So one, it's the economic benefit. So you can say economic growth. Okay, you can call it the way you want, but I'll term it as for economic growth. In the advantage is, the benefit is economic growth. There will be growth in economy. People bring money in Zambian economy. That means our economy will grow. And the other benefit is owns will be used for medicine. So we have got potential source of medicine from owns of linos. So I can call that one as medicinal benefit. Let me call it medicinal benefit. medicinal benefits. Okay, horns will be used to make medicine. Okay, so that is the other benefit. So those are the two benefits: economic benefits, medicinal benefits. And the other one that I can give you easy maintenance of ecosystem. Okay, so maintenance of ecosystem. Okay, so you can even call it ecosystem benefit. Ecosystem benefits. Okay, now we come to question E, which is explain one method in which endangered animals can be protected. How can we protect these? So one, by creating GMs. Okay, GMAs, by creating GMA. This is game management areas where these animals are kept safely. Okay, game management areas, these are areas where we cannot allow anyone to go and kill animals. Animals that are there are protected. Okay, then the other one, how can we, they are asking for one, so I'll give you two. One, creating GMOs where you keep animals or national parks. Then by implementing rules. Okay, here I can't say let's make laws. We have got enough laws that protects animals. What is there is just implementing them. Okay, by implementing laws, make sure we implement the laws that we have made guarding the animals. By implementing the laws, following the laws that we have. If you find someone who's killing animals, you catch them, you take them to the law. They are jailed for some years. People will start getting scared of killing animals. Okay, so basically these are the answers. So make sure you write these answers, and then okay, so one, by creating game management areas. Two, by implementing laws. Let me say laws here. Okay, it's laws. Okay, by implementing laws. Okay, so that is the thing. We have laws that governs how we handle the animals. Otherwise, it's just a matter of implementing them. Otherwise, the laws are there. We come to question 9, which is coming from the topic of materials and energy. The question is as follows. The following diagram shows a battery connected to an ammeter and two bulbs in an electric circuit. The following diagram shows a battery connected to an ammeter and two bulbs in an electric circuit. Okay, so what we can do is we can take time and study the diagram. Now, once we have studied the diagram, we can identify the parts that in there. So we can tell that we have got U here. U, that is a switch. So U is a switch. Okay, then U is a switch. Then what is V? So V is a bulb. V is a bulb. Okay, V is a bulb, so V is a bulb, and W is also a bulb. Okay, so if they are not bulbs, we shall remove the words bulbs. But from the statement that is read above, we are told there are two bulbs, so these are bulbs. Okay, so these are bulbs. Okay, so now we can go ahead and answer the questions. Remember, switch is U. Switch is for the letter U. Okay, so now let's go to the actual questions, which is identify the part labeled U, which is switch. Okay, so that is switch. Okay, then we come to B. How many cells are in the battery? How many cells are in the battery? Okay, so let me tell you how we write one cell. So one cell, in the way they are drawn there, one cell has got, this is one cell, a short line and a long line, that is one cell. So now we can see that here there are three sets of those because they are written, that is one cell, and here again this one is another cell, then this one is also another cell. So there are three cells there. Okay, so the answer there, we can say the question is how many cells are in the battery. Then we can say there are 3 cells. There are 3 cells. Okay, there are 3 cells. There are 3 cells in that battery. Okay, so there are 3 cells in that battery. Now let's come to question C, which is what will be the current at part marked W in the circuit? What will be the current at the part marked W in the circuit? Okay, the current. So let's go back and understand what is there. We are told the following diagram shows a battery connected to an ammeter and 2 bulbs in a electric circuit. Okay, so we have got ammeter, which is showing 2A, okay, 2 amps. So what will be the question is what will be the current at part marked W in the circuit? So since the ammeter is reading 2A and these are this is the current that is passing through the wire, so that means the reading of the current at W will be 2 amps as well. 2 amps or 2 that is ampere. Okay, amperes. Okay, so 2 amperes. Okay, so if you write 2A, it's okay. The answer is also correct. Okay, so 2 amperes. Okay, now the question now is, we come to question 9D. Is it 9D? Yes. We say calculate the voltage across bulb VW. Show your working. So let's start with the bulb V, which is there. Okay, so voltage, we should know that voltage is equal to, so we can say voltage is equal to current times resistance. Okay, current times resistance. Okay, now once we have done that, then the next thing we can do is now we just say what is the current. So we have V is equal to the current, we are told is 2 amps, then times, so we can say times, okay, we can say times ohms, we are told it's 1 ohms. Okay, so I'm just going to write the word ohms like that. Okay, 1 ohms. Then what we do is we multiply. We say voltage is equal to 2 times 1. 2 amps times 1 ohms will give us 2 volts. Okay, so that is the answer there. The answer is 2 volts. Okay, at T, so that is calculate the voltage across the bulb V and W. That will be 2 volts. Okay, if you have got questions, you can ask in the comment section, but that is the answer. We go to D2. D2 is asking us what is the voltage at bulb W. Okay, so we said voltage is equal to, okay, voltage is equal to current times resistance. Okay, so we know that voltage is equal to, we know that current is 2 amps. In that circuit, current is 2 amps. Then times, we say times. Okay, then let's go where there is a bulb. Let's go and see the resistance is 2. So we say times 2 ohms. Okay, 2 ohms. Okay, then we say what is the voltage? So we say voltage is equal to 2 times 2 will give us 4. That will be 4 volts. Okay, so the voltage on bulb W is 4 volts. Okay, so basically those are the answers. Okay, now we go to question E, which is calculate the voltage value of one cell. Calculate the voltage value of one cell. So how do we go about this one? So we know that voltage is equal to we are asked to calculate the voltage value of one cell. So what we can do is first we find the voltage of the entire circuit, then we divide by 3 cells. Okay, so you can say what is voltage? You can say voltage is equal to current times resistance. Current times resistance. Then we say voltage is equal to, then what is the current? Current we are told that it's 2 amps. The entire circuit is 2 amps. Now when it comes to resistance, we are going to add the resistance. We have 1 resistant here and 2 resistant. When we add them, since they are in series, that means we add them. So 1 plus 2 give us 3. So that means we are going to have 2 amps times, so we say times 3 ohms. Okay, 3 ohms. Okay, so now what I can tell you is that after we find the answer, we're going to divide the answer by 3 cells. So let's find the voltage first. So it's a voltage. We say voltage is equal to 2 times 3 will give us 6, which will be 6 volts. So the total voltage in the circuit is 6 volts. So what do we do now is we want to find the voltage of one cell. So we say we can say voltage of one cell is equal to then what did we get? The total voltage in the circuit, we got 6. So it's saying 6 volts. 6 volts. Then we say divide by, so we divide by how many cells? We identified that in the circuit there are 3 cells, so we say divide by 3. Okay, so when we divide that by 3, okay, when we divide that by 3, so we can come up with equals to, so 6 volts divided by 3 will give us 2 volts. Okay, 6 divided by 3 will give us 2, so that will be 2 volts. So the voltage of one cell is equal to 2 volts. Okay, so basically this is how you can do it. Now to avoid taking 2 steps, what you can do is here you can just be writing that you put division, divide by 3, divide by 3, so that when you get the answer 6 here, you divide it. So for me, first I found the total voltage in the circuit, then I divided it by 3 to get the voltage of one cell. So each cell has got 2 volts. Okay, if you have got questions, you can ask in the comment section, but basically this is how you answer this question. Okay, if there are no questions, let's go to the last and final question of this paper. We come to question 10, which is coming from the topic of materials and energy, and the question is as follows. Start the diagrams showing 2 structures that are used in communication. Okay, 2 structures that are used in communication. So we have got the diagrams there, then we have got X and we have got y. Okay, and we have z there. Okay, so let me talk about these parts, y and x. What are they? Okay, so we can call y we can call it as whatever weight you can give. So y can also be called as antenna, okay, which is antenna. Can be called as antenna. Okay, you can also call it as ground dish. Ground dish. Okay, so there are so many names that you can call it. You can even call it ground microwave dish. Okay, all those. So if you wrote your answer to be dish, I'm sure it can be acceptable. Now it should be specified. So you can also, because if you just say dish, what kind of dish? Okay, it should be antenna. It's acceptable. They will give you a mark. So if you call it ground microwave dish, it is also acceptable. So ground microwave dish will also be acceptable. Ground microwave dish will also be acceptable as the name of this okay, this apparator there. Okay, so that is those are the names that you can use. So the one that is easier for you, if your antenna is easier for you, use it. Okay, just with a single wide antenna. We come to y. What is y code? Okay, so y is called geostationary satellite. Geostationary satellite. Okay, that is y. Okay, that is just satellite dish. Okay, so unless if there are questions, if there are no questions, those are the answers to those letters. Okay, then this one depending, z depends on the movement of the signal. So let me leave it out like that. I'll come back to it later on. Okay, so question 10a, identify the structures x and y. So x, that is, we are going to put the word antenna there. X, we'll call it antenna. Okay, that one should gain you a mark. If when you use the ground microwave dish, it's okay, again you get a mark for x. Okay, then when you come to y, which is the geostationary satellite. Geostationary satellite is correct. Okay, so that is 10. We come to b. What term is given to the pathway z of transmission of signals sent from structure x and y? Okay, structure x and y. So that one is called uplink. Okay, We come to C. Explain the use of structure X and Y in communication. So what do we use X and Y for communication, which is X antenna? So what do we use X in communication? Okay, so it is used in long distance communication. So what is the use of antenna? So is to receive signals, okay, that is the use of antenna, to receive signals. That's the use of antenna. Okay, so it is used, antenna is used to receive signals. For Y, let's talk about Y, which is this one. It receives and sends signals. So Y, we can say to receive signals to receive and send. Let me say to receive and send signals. Okay, so that is the function of Y, to receive and send signals. Okay, X to receive signals, that is antenna is to receive signals. Y is to receive and send signals. Okay, we come to D, which is explain 1. Advantages of using radio communication. 2. Disadvantage of using radio communication. So one advantage of using radio communication, one is it is cheaper. It is cheaper to use. It is cheaper to use. So let me just put it is cheaper to use. It is cheaper to use. That is one of the advantages of using radio. The other one is, apart from being cheap to use, the other one is it can be used by wider audience or large audience. It reaches, so we can say it reaches large audience. It reaches large audience. Okay, it reaches large audience. Okay, question D2. Disadvantages of using radio as a means of communication is, so disadvantage of using radio signal is that is it only sends audio signals. It only sends audio signals. That's all. It sends only audio signals. It only sends audio signals. It only sends audio signals. Okay, that's all. Okay, you can't see, it does not send visual signals like the way television is. You can see what is being said or the person who is talking, but with radio you only hear what someone is saying. You can't see what he or she is saying. Okay, then they want you to write one disadvantage. Let me give you an extra one. So the other one is C, it's one-way transmission. Okay, so radio signal is the only send one way of transmission. So the person who is in the radio studio, will be saying things that people will be hearing. What you'll be saying they cannot hear you unless other means of transmission is engaged, like cell phone, where you call using a cell phone. Otherwise, without calling, the one in the studio won't be hearing what you are saying. So the other disadvantage is it's one way transmission. It's a one-way transmission. Okay, so those are the disadvantages. So if you have a visual where you have like television, when you use a video chat, you can be talking to someone and you are seeing that person is talking, you are able to listen to what he's saying and see what he is doing. So that is the advantage of using video transmission. When you come to radio transmission, that is the disadvantage. You can't see what somebody is doing, you can just hear what they are saying. Okay, so basically these are the answers that examiners expected you to give. So if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, I encourage you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you found this video helpful, remember to like and share with your friends. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you.